Samsy. Story time with Ronnie. What are we doing, Samsy? Well, we are just cruising around. We're gonna do the island of Dr. Moreau, part 19. What are we doing? Okay, Nutrioso. I doubt that that's the way you pronounce it. In the eastern part of Arizona, in the White Mountains, as you will, on the historic US 191, the Coronado Trail, we are heading back into the Valley of the Sun, and it's hot. It's going to be really hot. It's not right now. So this thing, we're going to start off up here. We're going to go by this little lake thing over here. I guess it's more of a reservoir. Got a good place to stop and get yourself sorted if you got a big rig. I'll see if I can keep my head up and we can have a look at it as we go by there. Because there's two parking lots, and one's good and one is not good. Anyway, this story, the island of Dr. Moreau. Now this Prendick guy, he had lost it. You know, he figured he was going to be the next guy to be turned into a puma. So he's like, no, and he went on this big old, I'm running away, and then he's going to drown himself. And they're like, oh, you're a dumbass. All right, so they threw their guns down and dropped them on the beach there and said, here, come pick up these revolvers, and then when you're done being an ass, come to the house and we'll talk about it. So we finally got to that spot, and we'll pick it up where Moreau was giving him the lecture about what had happened. He had shown him what he was doing there, and he wasn't, the guy felt like a dumbass because he wasn't experimenting on people, trying to turn people into animals. It was the other way around. So all of a sudden he's thinking, oh, it's not such a big deal. It's kind of should be celebrated. This guy's doing such good work. Look at that. He made that pig guy walk around. Oh, he didn't quite say that, but he was leaning that direction, that he was wrong and Moreau and is right and Montgomery and oh, they should be celebrated. Oh, here we go right here. The creatures I had seen were not men, had never been men. They were animals, humanized animals, triumphs of vivisection. You'll forget all that a skilled vivisector here already. We started this already. All right, okay. You forget all that a skilled vivisector can do with living things, said Moreau. For my own part, I'm puzzled why the things I have done here have not been done before. Small efforts, of course, have been made. Amputation, tongue cutting, excisions. Of course, you know how a squint may be induced or cured by surgery. Then, in the case of tuberances, oh no, I'm in such a rush here, I'm skipping lines. Then, in the case of excisions, you have all kinds of secondary changes, pigmentary disturbances, modifications of the passions, alterations in the secretion of fatty tissue. I have no doubt you have heard of these things. Of course, I said. But these foul creatures of yours, all in good time, said he, waving his hand at me. I'm only beginning. Those are trivial cases of alteration. Surgery can do better things than that. There is building up as well as breaking down and changing. You have heard, perhaps, of a common surgical operation resorted to in cases where the nose has been destroyed. A flap of skin is cut from the forehead, turned down on the nose, and heals in a new position. This is a kind of grafting in a new position of part of an animal upon itself. Grafting of freshly obtained material from another animal is also possible. The case of teeth, for example. Oh, here we go. Let's take a look at this thing. And better put a mark on it or I'll lose that spot. No, the swearing will start early. I can't remember what this little reservoir is called, but it's there. And it's one of the good places to stop. You can catch yourself coming through Springerville, and you go up a hill there pretty quick like, and you're like, I didn't really see a good place to stop. So that one there is a good spot right there. And if you like to fish and you got the little license to do it, there's some spots where they have where you can walk over there and do a little fishing from the bank kind of thing. Just up the way here, just around the curve, is the main entrance and parking area for that area there. And yeah, if you get in there with an RV, you're going to be doing the wiggle to get out. Especially if you're towing a Jeep, if you're Class A, or if you're anybody pulling a toad where you can't back up. What is the term? Skewered? Yeah, you're unhooking that sucker because if it is empty when you get there, it won't be when you leave, guaranteed. That's just Murphy's Law. It's got to be the way it works. Here, let me see if I can ramble just a little bit further, and we'll actually see it and see if I got this one right. Because normally I say things and then I'm like, oh shit, that was on a different trip altogether. Okay, yeah, see, no exit here, and yeah, that's a little tight. You'll dip in there, and then yep, there you are. So wiggle your way out of that one. All right, let's get back to this story. The case of teeth, for example. The grafting of skin and bone is done to facilitate healing. The surgeon places in the middle of the wound pieces of skin snipped from another animal or fragments of bone from a victim freshly killed. Hunter's cockspur, probably you have heard of that, flourished on the bull's neck, and the rhinoceros rats of the Algerian Zawa, let's let it go, are also to be thought of monsters manufactured by transferring a slip from the tail of an ordinary rat to its snout and allowing it to heal in that position. Monsters manufactured, said I. Then you mean to tell me? Yes. These creatures you have seen are animals carven and wrought into new shapes. To the study of the plasticity of living forms, my life has been devoted. I have studied for years, gaining in knowledge as I go. I see you look horrified, and yet I'm telling you nothing new. It all lay in the surface of practical anatomy years ago, but no one had the timidity to touch it. It's not simple. It's not simply the outward form of an animal I can change. The physiology, oh man, I gotta let that go. I see we changed, and we're no longer up around 9,000 feet. And all right, Salt River Canyon. We're going to cruise through the Salt River Canyon. Oh boy, it's a spectacular thing. It is pretty cool, I'll tell you that. But when you do it 100 and 200 or 300 times, it gets a little bit less cool. All right. The surgeon places... Okay, I lost my position. Monsters, manufacturers, yes, these creatures, the study of plasticity. I have studied for years. I am telling you nothing new. Oh, right, I got caught up on some of these, the physiology, the chemical rhythm of the creature may also be made to undergo an enduring modification, in which vaccination and other methods of inoculation with living or dead matter are examples that will, no doubt, be familiar to you. A simple operation is the transfusion of blood, which, with it's going to be a tough day. It's going to be a tough read today. Let's spend a little bit more time looking at the road and a little less time bumbling over these words. So let's just take a peek. Oh, the gas station. Okay. Let's turn off. You can go to the White Mountains. You can cut this, the Sholo and Pine Top out of the picture there. If you want to go that way, just make sure you got a lot of time, because it's a road that goes through the res there, and it's not a big road, and it's not meant to be going really fast on. So, but it is very beautiful. You got to have a good vehicle, because it's not traveled that much, and you don't want to be broken down there. All right, so we're going to roll down here. Look here now. Oh boy, this is pretty. And we just roll in from here, and it looks pretty good. It hasn't rained in a bit. You can see it had rained, but look how dangerous that. This is prime fire season right now. There's a lot of ground fuel in there, and it hasn't burned in here in a while. So I guess we gotta look forward to that. Okay. Let's try to get back to this thing. Inoculations, living dead, that will, no doubt, be familiar to you. A similar operation is the transfusion of blood, with which subject indeed I began. These are all familiar cases, less so, and probably far more extensive, were the operations of those medieval practitioners who made dwarfs and beggar cripples and show monsters, some vestiges of whose art still remain in the preliminary manipulation of the young Mont Blanc or contortionist. Okay, if anybody knows if that shit is real, go ahead and put a comment up in here. Victor Hugo gives an account of them in La Homme qui rit. But perhaps my meaning grows plain now. You begin to see that it is a possible thing to transplant tissue from one part of an animal to another, or from one animal to another, to alter its chemical reactions and methods of growth, to modify the articulations of its limbs, and indeed to change in it in its intimate structure. No. And yet, this extraordinary branch of knowledge has never been sought as an end, and systemically by modern investigators until I took it up. Some such things have been hit upon in the last resort of surgery. Most of the kindred evidence that will recur to your mind has been demonstrated, as it were, by accident, by tyrants and criminals, by the breeders of horses and dogs, by all kinds of untrained, clumsy-handed men working for their own immediate ends. I was the first man to take up this question armed with antiseptic surgery, and with a really scientific knowledge of the laws of growth. Yet, one would imagine it must have been practiced in secret before. Such creatures as the Siamese twins, and in the vaults of the Inquisition. No doubt their chief aim was artistic torture, but some, at least of its inquisitors, must have had a touch of scientific curiosity. But, said I, these things, these animals talk. He said that was so, and proceeded to point out that the possibilities of vivisection does not stop at a mere physical metamorphosis. A pig may be educated. The mental structure is even less determinate than the bodily. In our growing science of hypnotism, okay, am I to get that this guy is hypnotizing mutant pig guys? All right. That's the word. The growing science of hypnotism, we find the promise of a possibility of replacing old inherent instincts by new suggestions, grafting upon or replacing the inherited fixed ideas. Very much, indeed, of what we call moral education is such a artificial modification and perversion of instinct. Pugnacity is trained into courageous self-sacrifice, and suppressed sexuality into religious emotion. And the great difference between man and monkey is in the larynx, he said, in the capacity to frame delicately different sound syllables by which thought could be sustained. In this, I failed to agree with him, but with a certain incivility, he declined to notice my objection. He repeated the thing was so, and continued his account of his work. But I asked him why he had taken the human form as a model. There seemed to me then that there still seems to me now a strange wickedness in that choice. He confessed that he had chosen that form by chance. I might just as well have worked to form sheep into llamas, and llamas into sheep. I suppose there is something in the human form that appeals to the artistic turn of mind more powerfully than any animal shape can. But I have not confined myself to man-making. Once or twice, he was silent for a moment, for a minute perhaps. These years, how they have slipped by. And there I have wasted a day saving your life. I am now wasting an hour explaining myself. Okay, let's just take a look at this brake check area. Whatever you do, just do not let the dogs and kids just walk around out here. There's just, so much garbage, and a lot of human waste. It's not a good spot. You want to check your tires and stuff, you do that. Just like I say, don't let the kids and the dogs out there. All right, let's get back to this story now. There we go. Wasting an hour explaining myself. But, said I still do not understand. What is your justification for inflicting all this pain? The only thing that could excuse vivisection to me would be some application. Precisely, he said. But you see, I am differently constituted. We are on different platforms. You're a materialist. I'm not a materialist, I began hotly. In my view, for it is just the question of pain that parts us. So long as visible or audible pain turns you sick, so long as your
own pains drive you, so long as pain underlies your propositions about sin. So long, I tell you, you are an animal, thinking a little less obscurely what an animal feels, this pain. I gave an impatient shrug at such sophistry. Oh, it is such a little thing. A mind truly opened to what science has to teach must see that it is a little thing. It may be that save in this little planet, this speck of cosmic dust, invisible long before the nearest star could be attained. It may be, I say, that nowhere else does this thing called pain occur. But the laws we feel our way towards, why, even on this earth, even among living things, what pain is there? Let's stop and take a look at this drive, this Salt River Canyon, you know. And even though it seems like, I don't know, like it's just you do it all the time. It's not like that at all. Every time you better keep your head together, because it's just fine. It's perfectly safe, except, you know, just don't be a jackass. You see that roadside there, 30 mile an hour. Now in Ronnie, that's, you know, that's a good speed. It's not too fast, but holy cow, if you're going 30 mile an hour through here, there's just, the people are on top of you, trying to get around you and trying to push you through, because there's no, you know, there's only passing lanes on the way up, right? But there's these dive outs. Don't take them. No, you know what? If they didn't make it happen back there somewhere, you're not a sightseer, you know. You're 40,000 pounds. To bring that thing to a halt and then to get it back up to speed again just to let somebody go by? No, they can wait for on the way up. There's plenty of passing lanes. If they didn't make it happen, that's just too bad. And there's places for the, you know, motorcycle can go around you at any time. The deal about a motorcycle is whatever's safe, you know. So you think about it. Oh no, I'm not going to say it because that's probably against the law. All I was going to say is it doesn't really matter what the speed limit is. If you're sitting there stuck in a herd of big old angry drivers, and either back there just a ways or up there just a ways is a nice big old safety bubble, I don't know what I would do. Actually, I'm pretty sure I know what I would do. I'm going to get on with this story. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, why on earth the living things of pain is here? Okay, here we go, rebuttal. He drew a little penknife. As he spoke, from his pocket, opened the smaller blade, and removed his chair so that I could see his thigh. Then, choosing the place deliberately, he drove the blade into his leg and withdrew it. No doubt, you have seen that before. It does not hurt a pinprick, but what does it show? The capacity for pain is not needed in the muscle, and it is not placed there. It is but little needed in the skin, and only here and there over the thigh is a spot capable of feeling pain. Pain is simply our intrinsic medical advisor to warn us and stimulate us. All living flesh is not painful, nor is all nerve, not even all sensory nerve. There's no taint of pain, real pain, in the sensations of the optic nerve. Let me exercise my optic nerve and take a look at this road again. I know I'm interrupting the story a lot, but I do like this drive, so
Oof, boy, that's a long ways down in there. That's a long ways down there. It's so hot, too. That sun is way up top. It's hot, hot, hot. And it's just, yeah, oh boy, they were going the wrong direction. I'd be filming it going the other direction, but my smile is so big every time I'm going up to the mountains. I'm coming down the hill, I'm like, oh, curmudgery. All right, let's get back. Not even the optic nerve. There is no taint of pain. Okay, we got a new song coming. The pain of the taint. No. The taint and the pain. Oh boy, here we go. Okay, let's try to dial that back real fast, real fast. I'm not saying it again. No. If you wound the optic nerve, if you wound, if you wound the optic nerve, you merely see flashes of light, just as disease of the auditory nerve merely means a humming in our ears. Plants do not feel pain. Yeah, when's the last time you were a plant? The lower animals, it's possible that such animals as the starfish and the crayfish do not feel pain. I ask again, my friend. I have spoken to a crayfish just the other day, and he said, "Motherfucker, that hurt. Give me my leg back." Or my butt. What do you eat on those things? Oh, you probably eat their butts. Bodies. What else do you eat? Then, with men, the more intelligent they become, they more intelligently they will see after their own welfare, and less they will need the goad to keep them out of danger. I never yet heard of a useless thing that was not ground out of existence by evolution sooner or later. Did you? And the pain gets needless. I am a religious man, Prendick, as every sane man must be. It may be I fancy I have seen more of the ways of the world's maker than you, for I have sought his laws in my way all my life, while you, I understand, have been collecting butterflies. And I tell you, pleasure and pain have nothing to do with heaven or hell. Pleasure and pain? Bah! What is your theologian's ecstasy but Mamet's fury in the dark? Okay, Momets? I'm going to have to look that one up. No, I ain't going to go through it all. I'm just going to take a look at this thing here again, because I see we's at the bottom. And, they had some rain down here recently. We're fairly green. There was a little place on the right over there. I always see them up there, and they're saying that river rafting trips and stuff like that. I've never thought to do that, but a lot of people seem to be doing that. It's an odd location here. All right, let's get back to this story. Oh yeah, boy, oh boy, if you haven't seen that video where I've got a camera on the back of Ronnie, big old Ronnie here, and the little scooter back there, holy moly, does it ever get warm back there. It is like 180 degrees sitting on the handlebar of that camera, sitting on the handlebar of that little scooter back there. Oosh, boy. Okay, this store, which men and women set on pleasure and pain, Prendick, is the mark of the beast upon them, the mark of the beast from which they came.
Pain, pain and pleasure, they are for us only so long as we wriggle in the dust. You see, I went on with this research just the way it led me. That is the only way I ever heard of true research going. I asked a question, devised some method of obtaining an answer, and got a fresh question. Was this possible or that possible? You cannot imagine what this means to an investigator with an intellectual passion grows upon him. You cannot imagine the strange colorless delight of these intellectual desires. The thing before you is no longer an animal, a fellow creature, but a problem, a sympathetic pain. All I know of it, I remember as a thing I used to suffer from years ago. It was the one thing I wanted, to find out the extreme limit of plasticity in a living shape. But, said I, the thing is an abomination. To this day, I have never troubled about the ethics of the matter. The study of nature makes a man at last as remorseless as nature. I have gone on, not heeding anything but the question I was pursuing, and the material has dripped into the huts yonder. It is nearly 11 years since we came here, I and Montgomery and 6 Kanakas. I remember the green stillness of the island and the empty ocean, about as though it were yesterday. The place seemed waiting for me. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this drive. We're going to get to the top of the hill here, and I think we switch it over then, and we boogie through the last little push through Devil's Canyon into between Superior and Globe, and it's another little area where there's a lot of mining, so a lot of mines to look at. All right, the place seemed waiting for me. Here we go. The stores were landed and the house was built. The Kanakas founded some huts near the ravine. I went to work here upon what I had brought with me. Some disagreeable things happened at first. I began with sheep and killed it after a day and a half by a slip of the scalpel. I took another sheep and made a thing of pain and fear and left it bound up to heel. It looked quite human to me when I had finished it, but when I went to it, I was discontented with it. It remembered me, and was terrified beyond imagination, and it had no more than the wits of a sheep. The more I looked at it, the clumsier it seemed, until at last I put the monster out of its misery. These animals without courage, these fear-haunted, pain-driven things. See, there's a guy in a fifth wheel, he's, holy cow, yup, that's legal here. Kinda, but not really. That one's probably from Montana or something. You still got to abide by that 65 feet total overall length here in Arizona, unless you get a special permit and you drive on a special road. There's always going to be somebody say, "Oh, no way." But yeah, I mean, it's odd what you expect to be able to do without any kind of a special endorsement on your license saying that you're actually capable and responsible for such a rig. The more put it out of its misery, these fear-haunted, pain-driven things, without a spark of pugnacious energy to face torment, They are no good for man-making. Then I took a gorilla I had, and upon that, working with infinite care and mastering difficulty after difficulty, I made my first man. All the week, night and day, I molded him. With him, it was chiefly the brain that needed molding. Much had to be added, much changed. I thought him a fair specimen of the Negroid type when I had done him, and he lay bandaged, bound, and motionless before me. It was only when his life was assured that I left him, and came into this room, and found Montgomery, much as you are. He had heard some of the cries as the thing grew human, cries like those that disturbed you so. I didn't take him completely into my confidence at first, and the Kanakas, too, had realized something of it. They were scared out of their wits by the sight of me. I got Montgomery over to me, in a way, and he had the hardest job to prevent the Kanakas deserting. Finally they did, and so we lost the yacht. I spent many days educating the brute. Altogether, I had him for 3 or 4 months. I taught him the rudiments of English. I gave him ideas of counting, even made the thing read the alphabet. But at that, he was slow, though I've met with idiots slower. He began with a clean sheet, mentally. He had no memories left in his mind of what he had been. When his scars were quite healed, and he was no longer anything but painful and stiff, and able to converse a little, I took him yonder and introduced him to the Kanakas as a interesting stowaway. They were horribly afraid of him. Yeah. So, okay, yeah, this last spot right over, there's a mining area right, a couple of little roads, and then there's the timber campground. I think we just did one from right there. Maybe it was on the other direction of this road. They were horribly afraid of him at first, somehow, which offended me, rather, for I was conceited about him. But his ways seemed so mild, and he was so abject, that after a time they received him and took his education in hand. He was quick to learn, very imitative and adaptive, and built himself a hovel rather better, it seemed to me, than their own shanties. There was one among the boys, a bit of a missionary, and he taught the thing to read, or at least to pick out letters, and gave him some rudimentary ideas of morality. It seems the beast's habits were not all that desirable. You shit the bed. All right, yeah, we switched, and this is that last little bit rolling into Superior, and boy, that road, it was made before. They don't coordinate these large efforts very well, because all of a sudden, the mine took off and it got approval, and all of a sudden, there was a whole lot more truck traffic on this road than I guess, they project they're going to be able to do the road here this year, and then not again until whatever year. And, that just blows all that out when something like that changes, because all of a sudden there's a spike in how much traffic, and you can see they're trying to fix sections of it, but it is such a busy little road. There's 2 ways to get out of the valley, and this is one of them. Well, unless you want that freeway thing, and go ahead, you do that.
Okay, so we're getting pretty close here. We're going to end this thing right in the little town of Superior. So I'm going to find us a good spot. We'll just ramble on with a little bit more, and then we'll find us a good spot and we'll pit in. I rested from work for some days and was in a mind to write an account of the whole affair to wake up English physiology. Then I came upon the creature squatting up in a tree and gibbering at two of the Kanakas who had been teasing him. I threatened him, told him the inhumanity of such a proceeding, aroused his sense of shame, and came here resolved to do better before I took my work back to England. I have been doing better, but somehow these things drift back again. The stubborn beast flesh grows, day by day, back again. I mean, do better things still. I mean, to conquer that, this puma. But that's the story. All the Kanaka boys are dead now. One fell overboard of the launch. One died of a wounded heel that he poisoned in some way with plant juice. 3 went away in the yacht, and I hope, were drowned. The other one was killed. Well, I have replaced them. Montgomery went on much as you are disposed to do at first, and then, what became of the other one? Said I sharply. The other Kanaka who was killed. The fact is, after I made a number of human creatures, I made a thing. He hesitated. Yes, said I. It was killed. I don't understand, said I. Do you mean to say it killed the Kanaka? Yes. It killed several other things that it caught. We chased it for a couple of days. It only got loose by accident. I never meant it to get away. It wasn't finished. It was purely an experiment. It was a limbless thing with a horrible face that writhed about the ground in a serpentine fashion. It was immensely strong and in infuriating pain, and it traveled in a rolling way like a porpoise swimming. It lurked in the woods for some days, doing mischief to all it came across, until we hunted it, and then it wriggled into the northern part of the island, and we divided the party to close in upon it. Montgomery insisted upon coming with me. The man had a rifle, and when his body was found, one of the barrels was curved into the shape of an S and very nearly bitten through. Montgomery shot the thing, and after that I struck to the ideal of humanity, except for little things. He became silent. I sat in silence, watching his face. So, for 20 years altogether, counting 9 years in England, I have been going on. And there is still something in everything I do that defeats me, makes me dissatisfied, challenges me to further effort. Sometimes I rise above my level, sometimes I fall below it, but always I fall short of the things I dream. The human shape I can get now almost with ease, so that it is lithe and graceful or thick and strong, but often there's trouble with the hands and the claws, painful things that I
dare not shape too freely, but is in the subtle grafting and reshaping one must needs do to the brain that my trouble lies. The intelligence is often oddly low. All right, let's just take a look. Let's just take a look at this road here. It's pretty spectacular. You know, you go zipping through there, and like I say, the road's getting so beat up. Now watch this one right here. It's like boom! This holy cow. The expansion joints to this bridge, and they keep working on that bridge, and the truckers, as they come rolling in here, you know, it actually pushes the pavement down the hill. It makes little waves in the pavement, and holy cow, yeah, okay, I got to stop saying that one. Okay, noted. Holy guacamole. I might be able to get away with that one. It's a little bit harder to say, but way more fun. Guacamole. Oh, yeah, I like that. I can say that all day long. No, you can't. I can hear somebody back there saying, no, you cannot say that all day long. All right, let me take a look. We got to be getting closer because, boy, I am going off the rails here already. Where did we end up? Oh, right, he's talking about the claws and craving. Oh, no, here we go. Grafting and reshaping one must do to the brain. So he's having trouble getting the thing to not be an animal brain. All right, let me just mark it here, and we'll just see if we can just eat up the next 5 or 10 seconds here with something really provocative and thought-provoking, and no, we probably can't. Oh, look at that sun. Oh, let's do that one again. Holy guacamole. Oh, yeah, I can do that one for a couple of days before somebody tells me that's no good. And then I'll be like, oh, okay. Oh, zoom. That must be the end of it. All right, guys. We'll get a little further down the road next time. Thank you so much for coming. And I'll just leave you with a little campsite photo, and then we'll turn it over to big old Rosie. All right, Rosie, you do your thing. Sam, see.